Good morning. This is Apex version, Algebra 1, sections 3 and 4 of semester 2. So we're going to talk about multiplying polynomials by monomials to start. So to multiply a polynomial by a monomial, so remember a monomial does not have any plus or minus signs between it, whereas a polynomial has a constant, usually a variable raised to some power, and then it also has plus or minus signs and more of those, so more monomials. Okay, we're going to use the distributive property and the product rule for exponents. Okay, so, and the product rule says if we're multiplying variables with the same base, we add the exponents. Okay, so all I'm going to do here is I'm going to take this 1/2 x squared and I'm going to distribute it to each of these, which means I have to multiply it times each of those. So 1/2 times 8 is 4. Now I have x squared times x to the 3rd power. So I'm going to add those, and that's going to become x to the 5th. 1/2 times -6 is -3. And I have x squared times x squared. So I add those exponents, and it becomes x to the 4th. 1/2 times 10 is 5. Okay, x squared times x. So that's really an x to the 1st power. So that becomes x to the 3rd power. And that is my final answer right there. All right, let's go on ahead and take a look at the next one. So I'm going to take all of this right here and multiply it times that and times that. So I'm going to do my constants first. So 3 times 5 is 15. A times a squared is a to the 3rd, because remember that's really an a to the 1st power. Okay, and b, and there's no b here, so that just stays a b. Plus 3ab times b, so 3 times 1 is 3. There's an a, but there's no a there. And a b to the 1st times b to the 1st, we add those two ones and we get a 2. Okay, same thing, distribute. Okay, so 5 times r, okay, so that's just going to be a 5. R squared times r is r to the 3rd. And s squared, there's no s here in the 1st term, so that just stays s squared. Minus 5 times -3 is -15. R squared times, well, there's an s there, but no r, so that's going to stay r squared. S squared times s, remember that's an s to the 1st power, so that's going to become an s to the 3rd power. We're going to continue, so 5x times each term inside the parentheses. 5 times 2 is 10. X times x squared is x to the 3rd. 5 times 10 is 50. X times x is x squared. 5 times -6 is -30. X, and there's no x there, so this just stays an x. Go on ahead, pause the video and try the next two on your own, and then start it back up and see if you got the same thing I got. Okay, so let's go on ahead and look at the answers for this. So 2x times -4x squared times -10x and times 3. So 2x times -4x is -8. X to the 3rd, x times x squared. 2 times -10 is -20. X times x is x squared. 2 times 3 is 6, and then the x. You made a mistake, look at it and see what you did incorrectly so that you can fix it the next time. Okay, and then check this one, make sure you didn't do the same thing to this one. All right, so let's check this one now. Okay, so 6 times 1 is 6. M times m squared is m to the 3rd. N times n is n squared. 6 times 10 is a positive 60. M times m is m squared. N times n squared is n to the 3rd. 6 times -2 is negative 12. M, there's no M there. N, there's no N there. So it just stays M, N. Okay, so another method for multiplying binomials, okay, is called the FOIL method. So, or this is for multiplying binomials. So remember that we're multiplying binomials, which are parentheses with two terms, okay? Usually a variable and a number. Okay? So if we use the distributive method, we're going to take this x plus 3 and we're going to multiply it by the x. Then we're going to take the x plus 3 and we're going to multiply it by the 2. Then we're going to take the x plus 3, okay, and we're going to do the 3 times the x. And then we're going to do the 3 times the 2. And you can see these are kind of shaded light and dark, at least on my paper. Okay, so this method is actually called the FOIL method. This stands for first, outer, inner, and last. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to multiply the first terms. So that's the x times the x. Then we're going to do the outer terms. That's the x times the 2. Then we're going to do the inner terms. That's 3x. And then we're going to do the last term. So that's 3 times 2. So we're going to wind up with something like this, but then you see these are both x's, so we have to combine those like terms. So let's go ahead and practice this on a few of them. Okay. So we're really doing the same thing as the distributive method that we just did with those monomials. It's just a shortcut because now we have a binomial times a binomial. So this has a plus or minus in it, and this has a plus or minus in it. Okay, so we're going to do our FOIL method. So we're going to do our first terms. So x times x, that's x to the first times x to the first makes it x squared. Then we're going to do our outer terms. So we're going to do x times negative 2 gives us negative 2x. Now we're going to do our inner terms. So those are our inner terms. And that's going to give us 4 times x, which is 4x. And then we're going to do our last terms, which is going to be 4 times negative 2. So that's negative 8. Now, I always take these two that are on the inside and combine like terms. They're always going to be like terms. Almost always, I guess. For now, they will be. Okay, so negative 2x plus 4x is a positive 2x. And then that minus 8. All right, let's go on ahead and try this one. So we're going to do our first term. So x times x is x squared. Our outer terms, x times negative 7 is negative 7x. Our inner terms, negative 6 times x is negative 6x. And our last terms, negative 6 times negative 7 is positive 42. Okay, now we have to take these and we have to combine like terms. So x squared, negative 7x minus 6x is negative 13x plus 42. I want you to go on ahead and try the next two, okay? But do this without me. Try them, pause it, and then in a minute we'll go over them. Okay, so hopefully you guys paused this and tried it. So we're going to do first, okay, 2x times 3x. Well, 2 times 3 is 6. X times x is x squared. Outer, 2x times 4 is 8x. Inner, 3x times negative 1 is negative 3x. And last, negative 1 times 4 is negative 4. So our answer here is 6x squared plus, we're going to combine these two, 5x minus 4. And let's take a look at this last one. Okay, so first, 8x times x, 8x squared. Outer, 8x times negative 4 is negative 32x. Inner, negative 3 times x is negative 3x. And last, negative 3 times negative 4 is plus 12. Okay, so once again, let's combine like terms. So we get 8x squared minus 35x plus 12. not the only way you can do this. So you can do distributive property, okay? And let me show you one of these with just the distributive property. So we're going to do this first one here. So we're going to do x plus 4 times x minus 2. So I'm going to take the x and I have to multiply it by x minus 2. And I'm going to take the 4 and I have to multiply it by x minus 2. Okay, so I'm just distributing this x to both of these, and then I'm distributing this 4 to both of these. So this is going to give me x squared minus 2x, and this is going to give me 4x minus 8. Okay, so now I'm going to combine my like terms. I only have an x squared. 4x minus 2x is 2x minus 8. And you notice I got the same thing. Okay? So this was just a shortcut to doing all of this distributing. Okay? Now we're going to show you the box method. So the box method is very similar. Remember that anytime we're doing multiplication, we're really just finding an area. Okay? We're finding a length times a width. Okay, so let's go on ahead and we're going to create a box, okay, where the first polynomial, which is just a number, is one side, and the second polynomial is the other side. And then we're just going to find the area. So we're going to multiply the length times the width. Okay, so let's look at a multiplication table. Okay, most of you have seen one of these where it starts with 0 and then it goes to 1. It goes 0, 1, 2. Right? 0 times 0 is 0. 0 times 1 is 0. 1 times 0 is 0. 1 times 1 is 1. 2 times 0 is 0. So we're matching this with this, okay, to get these boxes. 1 times 2 is 2. Okay, so that's all we're doing here, except now we have some x's involved. So here, 2x times 3x, okay, goes here. So 2 times 3 is 6. X times x is x squared. 3x times negative 7, negative 21x. 2x times 5, so there's my 2x and my 5, and they meet at this box. Okay, so that's my 10x. And then I have 5 times negative 7, they meet here, that's negative 35. Now the cool thing about when you use the box method is these are going to line up. Okay, so this is your first one, 6x squared. These two line up and we have to combine like terms. 10x minus 21x is negative 11x. And then that's my last term. So that would be my final answer. Okay. So let's go on ahead and take a look at this one using the box method. So I'm going to have an x plus 4 and an x plus 8. And it doesn't matter. I could put my x plus 8 here and my x plus 4 there. I'm going to get the same answer no matter what. Okay, now we need to multiply. This times this is x squared. This times this is 4x. Okay, this 8 times this x meets here. That's 8x. And then my 8 times my 4 meets there, not eats there, and that's 32. And now remember, these two line up. So my final answer is x squared plus 12x plus 32. I want you guys going ahead and try the next two. Okay, pause it, try them. Let's see what you get. Okay, so I have my box. Okay, and once again, it doesn't matter which one I do where. I'm just going to put 2x minus 1 here. Okay, notice I kept that minus 1 with it, and an x and a 6. Okay, 2x times x is 2x squared. 2x times 6 is 12x. Negative 1 times x is negative 1x, or you could just write negative x. And negative 1 times 6 is negative 6. These two line up. They should be the same, like terms. So now I'm going to have 2x squared plus 11x minus 6. Let's go on ahead and try this last one. So this last one is actually a binomial times a polynomial. Okay, so this one right here, since it's got 3 terms in it, you cannot do the FOIL method. So your only options here would be the box method or this distributing, okay? In this case, the box method is sometimes a little bit easier, okay? So let's go on ahead. I'm gonna make my box a little bit longer because I have 3 terms now. So I'm gonna put my x minus 1 here. And once again, it doesn't matter which one's on top. I could do it 2 up here and 3 down, that's fine. Okay, x squared, 3x, and a 4. X times x squared is x to the 3rd, so I'm just looking at where they meet. X times 3x meets here, 3x squared. X times 4 is 4x. Negative 1 times x squared is negative 1x squared. Negative 1 times 3x is negative 3x. And negative 1 times 4 is negative 4. Now this one, the same thing applies. So those two are both x squared terms. They're like terms. These two are like terms. Okay, so this is our first one, x to the 3rd. Then we're going to combine these two and we get plus 2x squared, 3x squared minus 1x squared. 4x minus 3x is plus 1x or plus x. And then minus 4. And that's our final answer. Okay. So there's a couple of different methods you can use when multiplying. Let's go on ahead. It says simplify using any method. So let's go on ahead and let's do that. Okay, so this first one, I see that it's a binomial. It's got 2 terms times a binomial, 2 terms. So I'm probably going to use the FOIL method. But I know some students that just really love to use the box method for everything. That's fine. That is okay. Okay, so let's go on ahead and let's do this using the FOIL method. So first, 2x times 4x, 8x squared. Outer, 2x times 1 is 2x. Inner, 3 times 4x is 12x. And last, 3 times 1 is 3. Okay, combine those like terms. So 8x squared plus 14x plus 3. All right, so the next one is x minus 3 squared. Well, what that really means, that squared is on this whole piece. So that really means this is x minus 3 times x minus 3. Okay, so let's rewrite it. Now we can do our first, outer, inner, last. So x times x squared. X times negative 3 is negative 3x. Inner, negative 3 times x is negative 3x. And last, negative 3 times negative 3 is plus 9. So that's going to be x squared. I'm going to combine these like terms, minus 6x plus 9. 3x plus 2 squared. Okay, so that's really, remember that squared is on this whole thing. So that really means 3x plus 2 times 3x plus 2. And just because these are binomials, I prefer foiling, so I'm going to FOIL again. So I'm going to do my first times my first. So 3 times 3 is 9. X times x is x squared. Now I'm going to do my outer. 3x times 2 is 6x. I'm going to do my inner. 2 times 3x is 6x. And then I'm going to do my last. My 2 times 2, which is 4. I have to combine my like terms. So I get 9x squared plus 12x plus 4. And then my last one here, I have a binomial, 2 terms, and I have a trinomial or a polynomial, which is 3 terms. Okay, so this one I can either use distributive method or the box method. I'm just going to go on ahead and use my box method. And remember on the last one, I said it doesn't matter if you go down or across. Okay, I'm just going to go down on this one to show you it works. Okay, so I have negative 4x squared, negative 10x, and 3. Negative 4x squared times 2x is negative 8x cubed. Negative 4x squared times negative 5 is positive 20x squared. Negative 10x times 2x is negative 20x squared. Negative 10x times negative 5 is 50x. 3 times 2x is 6x. And 3 times negative 5 is negative 15. Okay, so now those are like terms. Okay. So I have negative 8x to the third. Well, here I have a negative 20x squared and a positive 20x squared, so those cancel out. I have a 50x and a 6x, so that's going to be plus 56x. And then I have a minus 15. So that's my final answer. Now, when we're doing this, when we're multiplying, what we're really doing is working with tiles. We're finding an area, right? So we can represent this with an area. So if I have two factors here, okay, so this is kind of like my box method here. So this x times this x is x squared. This x times this x is x squared. And this 1 times x is x. So you see, it's my box method. Okay, but these are algebra tiles. Right? So these are my factors, and then this entire box in here is actually my product. Okay? So let's take a look at actually what multiplication problem is represented here. So this factor right here, how many x's are there? There are 2 x's, and we're adding a 1. Okay, the 1 is not a like term, so we can't just include it and call it 3x. Okay, so that's my first factor. My second factor, there's 1x. So that's 1x or just x plus 1, 2, 3. And that's going to give me how many x squareds? 2x squareds. How many x's? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 7 x's. And then it's going to give me 3 1s. Okay. So if I multiply these two binomials, I'm going to get this answer. And the only reason that works is because this is a perfect square or rectangle, which means you can do a length times a width to find the area. Okay. So keep in mind that anytime we're multiplying things, we're always finding an area. Okay. So there is a little bit more for today. All right, so special products. So special products, imagine a square with sides of length a plus b. So in other words, this length is a plus b and this length is a plus b. And then here's your tiles right there. Okay. So the area of this square is a plus b times a plus b, or a plus b squared. Remember, we saw some of those on those last ones. It can also be found by adding the areas of the smaller squares and the rectangles inside. So just like our tile model, so a times a is a squared, a times b is ab, b times a is ab, and b times b is b squared. Okay. So when we add that, we get a squared plus 2ab plus b squared. This is called a perfect square trinomial because it results in a perfect square area. Okay. So, and that's the result of squaring a binomial. Okay. So here's your pattern: a squared, 2a times b, and b squared. Okay. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to look at this. So this is my a and this is my b. Okay, so my first term is a squared. So x is a, so x squared is a squared. Now I need to multiply these two numbers. 3 times x is 3x, but it's 2ab. Okay, so ab is 3x, so 2 times 3x is going to be 6x. So that's plus 6x, and then I do my b squared. So 3 times 3, or 3 squared, is 9. Okay. Okay, so let's try it on this one. So here, we're going to have 3x times 3x. That's going to be 3 times 3 is 9. X times x is x squared. So my A and my B. A times B, 3x times negative 5 is negative 15x, times 2 is going to be negative 30x. And then negative 5 times negative 5 is positive 25. Okay, try the next two on your own, and then we'll take a look at it. Okay, so x squared squared means x squared times x squared, which is really x to the fourth. So you could use the product rule, or you could use the the exponent to a power rule. So x squared squared, you'd multiply those and get x to the fourth. Okay. When we multiply a times b, we get negative 6x squared times 2 is negative 12x squared, and negative 6 times negative 6 is positive 36. 2x squared, 2 squared is 4, x squared is x squared, plus 2 times 3 is 6, x times y is xy, but I have to multiply that by 2, so that's going to be 12xy, and then my b squared, 3 squared is 9, and y squared is y squared. Okay, so let's look at the next one. The next one is difference of squares pattern. So multiplying conjugates. Okay, so a conjugate is when the sign for the second number is different. Okay, so you can see there, it's x minus 5 times x plus 5. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. So we're going to use our FOIL method. So x times x is x squared. X times 5 is plus 5x. Enter. Negative 5 times x is negative 5x. And then my last, negative 5 times 5 is negative 25. So that becomes x squared. Combine my like terms and I get 0x. So it becomes x squared minus 25. So this one right here, let's try it. So we're going to do first, 3x times 3x is 9x squared. 3x times negative 1 is negative 3x. 1 times 3x is positive 3x. And 1 times negative 1 is negative 1. So those are going to cancel, and I'm left with 9x squared minus 1. Okay. So really, when I'm doing this, okay, when I see a pattern where it's conjugates, in other words, it's an x minus a 5 and an x plus 5, so a minus times a plus, okay, and everything else is the same, then I can really just plug it in by putting a squared minus b squared. So this is my a, so a is x squared. Okay, so a is x, so a squared is x squared, and 4 is my b. Has to be a minus sign always. Okay, and then 4 squared is 16. Done. And so if you notice these, then you can actually do them a whole lot quicker. Okay, and this right here is called difference of two squares, and you will use more of this as you progress in math. So make sure that you remember this. Make sure that you notice these patterns. Okay. So 10 times 10 is 100. B times b is b squared, and it's always a minus sign between them. 3 times 3, okay, so 3 squared is 9, minus 2 squared is 4, and y squared is to the 4th power. 9 squared is 81, r squared is r squared. So if you notice these patterns for the perfect square trinomials, okay, and for the difference of squares, okay, it's really going to help you in the long run. So try to remember those. Okay. All right, so that's it for 1-3 and 1-4, and I'll see you next time.